All right, so we are back from vacation and a little bit of sickness. And while we were away, we found out that people really like the Colorado Avalanche. What do we mean by that? Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com, and follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you are subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one to get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. What we're going to be doing today is a little bit of Would You Rather. There's a couple questions over there, which we will. One of them was sent in. I think actually a couple of them were sent in from our subtext crew, so we'll get to some of that. But yeah, we were finally back. And when I said in the beginning that we found out while we were away that the Avalanche are well liked, that does not mean like, I was in a Avalanche bathing suit on the beach and people were coming up to me commenting on it. Although I don't own an Avalanche bathing suit, but I probably should.
I have Avalanche shorts.
I don't even have Avalanche shorts, believe it or not. All my Avalanche stuff is like waist up. I don't have anything like that's a lie. My mother bought me Avalanche socks, which I do
have 3 pairs of flip-flops.
But they're dress socks, and I do have a wedding to attend in October, so maybe that's where I will wear those. So, but what we meant by that is the JFresh website. Well, the Twitter page, which we love so much, that they have good graphics and deep analytics and stuff like that he puts up. He had something that he posted that was the most well-liked teams in the NHL. And the way he did this was basically just threw out a two team who, if they faced off against each other, who would you root for? And he threw just random teams out and people just voted. And I will put it up on, I have his graphic. We'll put it up on YouTube if you're watching over there. And there you have it. The Avalanche were number one. So the way that he did this survey, each team was voted on 2,170 times. How he came to that number, I don't know. But it was just to get a large number and not just 10. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like that thing that's been going around on social media where that is more logos. It's that Quebec something or other. I can't remember what the name of the site is, but they put 2 logos up and you're just constantly voting until you have they actually did 33 teams because they did both Utah and Arizona. So, and then you get your list of ranked logos 1 through 33. This is who you would root for between 2 teams. And the Colorado Avalanche at 60 will round up to 68% is number 1 by a pretty good margin. So people really like the Colorado Avalanche, Kyle.
And I think that's honestly what you can say when you look at these numbers, because when you look at that top 5, number 2 is
Buffalo. I'll go. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead. Because I was going to say for people who are not watching on YouTube.
Yeah, for number 2 is Buffalo, number 3 is San Jose, number 4 is Dallas, and number 5 is Vancouver. If you put those up against any team that's not yours, you're kind of rooting for them, even Dallas to a certain extent, if it has nothing to do with your playoff seeding, because you feel bad for them. Their history, they never really, like, you're just like, they're the underdog. Like, they're the true underdog. Like, yeah, I want to cheer for them. I would love for them, especially when you look at it, the other half of this, like teams that you hate. If it was San Jose against Vegas, I'm choosing San Jose because I want to see that San Jose get the win. But when you see Colorado up there at number 1, we hear it all the time when we do the crossovers. Everybody, doesn't matter where you are in the Central, in the league, everybody likes watching the talent.
Fun to watch
in Colorado. And honestly, we're kind of spoiled, but Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar are kind of fun to watch.
I think that plays a lot into it too. Sure, the style of play is appealing to the eye and appealing to watch on television, but Cale Makar is likable.
Mhm.
Nathan McKinnon is coming off of a career year where he won the MVP. That plays a role into things. You know what I mean? I think Jared Bednar is a very well liked coach around the league. He's not a guy that, he's not. You say you like. Do you like the style of Jared Bednar or the style of John Tortorella? And people are going to laugh and say that Tortorella is fun to watch, but I would not want him as my coach. And I
Yep.
feel the same way. I do genuinely like John Tortorella. I just wish he would tone it down a little bit. Whatever. That's a whole nother segment that we can get into. But I think people like Jared Bednar's style in the way he coaches and the way he dresses and that lettuce that he's got up there. I think people like that stuff. So yeah, I think and you know what, man? Like some people in Avalanche Nation will even they don't like the fact that the Avalanche aren't really a physical team, and they're not. They're not. And that might be another reason why people other fan bases like them, because you don't see them throwing cheap shot hits on an opponent. So a fan of another team might be trying to rack their brain, trying to think of when the Avalanche threw a nasty hit, because they just don't play that style. Now that could be to their detriment, but for another fan base, you go in knowing like, yeah, the Avalanche are going to give you a game because they have talent on that team, but you're not going to walk out of there with some guy who's missing the season because they gave you a cheap shot.
Yeah, and it's one of those, because Jay Fresh, you put it up in this manner, in this style, and you got to think about it. Like, if you take, again, this top 5, you can go top 10 if you want, and you match them up against, we'll just say our bottom outlier is Columbus, and we'll say Florida is your number 1. You're still pretty much selecting Colorado, Buffalo, San Jose, Dallas, and Vancouver as your top 5, because you just want to see them take that next step. You want to see them do something. And for Colorado, you just want to see that team play against your team, because that team is fun to watch. It's hard to get fired up for those Thursday night games against Winnipeg, or those random games against, which is now Utah, and you're just ready to get it done on the back end of a back-to-back. But everybody gets fired up for Colorado because it's a fun system to watch, fun players to watch, and you're watching history. Connor McDavid doesn't have that same effect, as you can see, ranking 9.
That's not bad though. 9th
but
is
that's
not
all
bad.
they got. Like, he is literally he's been the best player in the league for going on a decade. And
Yeah.
you have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Mikko Rantanen to an extent, and they're just a fun, scrappy team where Colorado always has a personality, and whatever your style of hockey is, you can find a nugget that comprises the Avalanche that satisfies your flavor for hockey.
The two teams in the final, usually, sometimes I should say usually, I kind of find myself like, whoever wins a championship, that team is immediately like hated outside of that fan base. But as far as the two teams that made the Stanley Cup final, yeah, we said Oilers are at number 9. That's not bad. Florida's at 12. I would think Florida would be down more because people now they're the enemy because they won. Avalanche are a few years removed from them winning the cup, so I think that has kind of like crested and people are kind of beyond that if they had some disdain for them. But you look at like original 6 teams.
And you froze up there, but you make a valid point. Like, original 6 teams, I think everybody is tired of hearing original 6 teams, and that's why you see them at where they're rated right now. And now that you're back, I'll let you round out who is number 32.
Well, with the original 6 thing, quick, like the highest rated on here is 16 at Montreal. Like, that kind of surprises me. Like, no other league has like an original, and I know the original 6 is not the original 6. I'm not trying to go there, but
it's yuppie.
It is looked, you know what I mean? It is something that the league promotes.
Yeah.
And there is some value to being a quote unquote original 16. So it's crazy to me that Montreal is the highest there at 16. And then, all the other, you got Chicago at 31, the Rangers at 28, Toronto at 24. So there's the Detroit's at 18. So it's It's tough goings for the original. But yes, at 32, I swear I didn't create this, and I'm just pawning it off that Jay Fresh put it up. He really did put it up. Vegas Golden Knights dead last. 33%.
Yeah, I know.
This is my favorite graphic of the year so far.
I know you didn't create this because I see who's in 6th and who's in 28th.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a hatred towards the Devils. But yeah, the Rangers I would put a little bit higher. Come on. Come on. So that, yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought it's an interesting thing, and I don't know if he does this every year. Maybe he will start doing it, but I would like to see year to year how things change based on a lot of different factors. Who wins the Stanley Cup? Who the roster, who's on the roster, who's left, like who on the roster for Vegas leaves that people would be like, okay, I like this team more, or is it just you just hate how that team is run, and that won't change year after year? So it's an interesting graphic, and with the Avs being at number 1, I take some pride in that, man. Yeah, I genuinely do.
I would have been curious to see where the Avs would have ranked with Nas still on the team.
Good question. Good question. I don't know. Wow. Now I'm really racking the brain. So
yeah, I know.
All right, let's get into some of these would you rathers to rack your brain. So we'll get our first break in, and we'll come back with some of those questions. First, let's hear from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, which of course is called what?
The Nathan McKinnon trilogy.
That's right. eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's get into some of these questions, these would you rather questions. This one I kind of feel is, I don't know if it's so much for now as maybe you can go retroactive and kind of talk about this one. But you had brought this up, and it's about the Avs captaincy. And it's would you rather change the captaincy or keep it the way it is? And this is something that we have touched on in the past. A lot of people have talked about it, and over the last 2 years with Gabe Landeskog being on IR. I feel like it's gone away a little bit because maybe there's the expectation that he should come back this season at some point. Even though we don't know when, even though it could be game 1 or it could be game 32, we're expecting him back at some point this season. And I think maybe that talk has died down a little bit because of that. But if you want to go retroactive on this, do you feel like it should have been changed? Or do you feel just while he's out, and then if he comes back, he's giving it back, of course? Or do you feel like, they should just kept it status quo? The way that they did it is the correct way.
All right, I'm going to say it, and you guys can't make me feel worse than I already have the past couple of days. So I'm just going to say it. Gabe Landeskog needed to pass this captaincy to Nathan McKinnon and said, just in a press conference, like, play it up, like, just for socials. It doesn't even have to have any long-standing importance. Just say, just the tagline, I'm coming back for this. That would mean so much to the team. It would give the team direction and a little incentive for Gabe Landeskog's return. It would create
I don't know if he needs incentive to return, but
it's a different pressure. It's a different pressure because when you see that graphic every offseason of teams without captains in the NHL, Colorado's lumped in there because theirs is he's been away since 2022.
Don't you feel like there's an asterisk next to that though? It's like it's not ridiculous. That they don't have a captain because they just haven't named one. They don't have a captain because he's hurt and not playing.
And at some point, a captain has to say, I'm not fulfilling my captain's duties and I have to pass this on because my team needs somebody to look at, and I'm over here just with my leg up and holding on to the C at home. Like, I think it's honestly time. Like, Gabe should say, hey, I'm coming back for this season, and they can have a big, like, play up his return even more, have Nathan McKinnon literally handing the letter or some kind of ceremony or just that moment. I think it would bring some cohesion, but I think it should have been done. It's something we always said, well, he's coming back. No, they still have a captain. It's been 3 years, everyone.
Yeah. To me, man, like, I get the importance and the value of someone being named the captain of a hockey team. I don't really feel like it changes the dynamic of how a team is going to play day in and day out. And because, like, I'm not one of those guys that feel like there has to, like you said, there's always that list of teams who don't have a captain. And I don't look at those teams that are on that list and be like, oh, there's something wrong with them. I just feel like, you should be selective on who you're naming a captain. I don't feel like that should just, like, a team has to hand out a captaincy just because they have to do it. I feel like you really need to be selective on that. And the Avalanche have the perfect captain for this team, and maybe one of the best captains in the league. And even if he retired, let's say Gabe Landeskog said, hey, I can't do this anymore and I'm hanging it up. I wouldn't want the Avalanche to turn around and rush handing the captaincy to another player. One, because I don't want to say it's not important, but I don't think it's as important as everybody wants to assign the value of its importance. So I wouldn't turn around and just need to hand it to someone just because. Would they? They probably would give it to Nathan McKinnon. Like, I generally think that's where it would go. But while Gabe Landeskog is still being paid by this team, he is your captain, man. Like, I just and if they had gone the route, knowing that he's going to be out those full years, like when they announced at the beginning of the year he's going to be out all year, if they wanted to say, hey, for this year we're going to have someone wear the C, I wouldn't have been like super against it, because it goes back to, like, I don't think it's as important as we have made it out to be. I think it would have been fine if you want to anoint somebody that for the year. Looks good for them for a year. Sure, if you want to rally behind that, that's fine for a year. But I'm not the guy who needs, like, got to have a captain. Have to have a captain on the team. And what are you doing if you don't? You have him. And even though he's not playing, he's still involved. Maybe it's a different type of captaincy. And maybe in that aspect, that's why people are thinking, like, no, you got to have one that's actually skating. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. I get there's maybe a little of a line in the sand here, but it's just, to me, it's like, you can go without it. It's okay. It's okay if you go without it.
Well, I keep getting hung up on this rush to name a captain thing. Guys, it's been 3 years. We're not rushing anything here.
They're not going to do it at this point. Like, it's no, that ship, if they haven't done it when your captain's been out for 2 years, they're not going to do it. And I'm fine with that.
And the longer this goes on, and we'll have this would you rather, what if, when this is all said and done. But this has been a very long, drawn out process. And it's honestly had the Avalanche kind of tied up, not just financially, but like
financially, yes.
I get
other than that, I think we're just diving too deep in what the captaincy means.
Well, you have to have somebody on the bench to also be that leader.
They're wearing A's. That you do. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is you're going to give it to a guy that has an A? So what you've changed it from an A, and now he's 2 letters further in the alphabet. Now he's a C.
So
what changes in his role?
What's the justification of a guy that's sitting at home? Why not give it to Stakic? He's in the booth. He's there more than Gabe Landeskog's been in the past 3 years.
I think because it is Gabe Landeskog, and we hold him in such high regard, to take it away from him even for a year, they might view it as like a slap in the face to him to do that. I wouldn't if they wanted to, and maybe he wouldn't take it that way. But I think as a franchise, they would say, like, that's our captain. We have alternate captains on this team. They can lead. We don't need to change what's on their their chest for it to mean anything different.
It's like
I don't know.
it's almost like losing your job and keeping your work clothes, and you're just like, they got to come take it from me. I haven't given it up. It just
No, I get it. But
honestly,
don't you think we put too much on like what a captain means in
it's not
today's day
so
and
much
age?
the it's keeping it in house. Like Landeskog has not been a part of the team since they raised the cup, and it's a little silly to still say our captain is at home after 3 years. Like, I don't care like what he brings to the team.
Mhm.
It's silly to say he's in a remote position. Like, it should be something that you could point at on the bench and put a microphone in his face and say, "Hey, what's going on here? A's or
Yeah.
C's, it doesn't matter, but to have your C sitting at home after 3 years kind of shows like it just doesn't sit well after all this time."
And I think a lot of people would agree with you, and I'm sure there's some people that feeling the way that I feel. It's just like it's not that big of a deal, like right now.
Well, then you should have no problem pulling it and say, "Come back and get it."
That's true. There's some truth to that too. Yeah. Katie from our subtext had a really good question. Said, would you rather be a perpetual bottom six player with multiple Stanley Cup wins or a top line, quote, biggest contract on the team type player with no Stanley Cup wins? So that's why it says money or fame in the rundown over there. Like, what would you rather have? Like, you put your money where your mouth is. Everybody says you play for the Stanley Cup, but when it comes to it, the money's thrown in your face. It's tough to turn that down too. So when it's all said and done, what would you rather be that sixth or not a sixth line, fourth line, third or fourth line depth guy with multiple Stanley Cups or Bucco Bucks? Let's get a break in, and then I'll get your answer from that right after this. All right, let's hear from Gametime. It's an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. What do we love about the Gametime app? They have the priority last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off when you're buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. They have the flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing. You toggle this feature and no surprise fees at checkout. You get your seat view and the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, sir. So I'll throw that one over to you. Would you rather have the money, or would you rather be a bottom feeder playing 6 to 10 minutes a night and grunt work, penalty killing, but have your name on the cup multiple times?
All right. Just riddle me this. Didn't Ryan Nugent-Hopkins have one of the wealthier contracts at one point in time?
I don't know if he was ever top 10 in contracts. No, I don't think he's ever been up there in contracts.
Okay.
But from fame, I mean, he's a number one overall pick. Yeah, he's gonna see a lot of that on his shoulders.
Who do you think when you see their picture, who do you think is happier? Those guys that have always had the most money, or Pat Maroon, Belmar, those guys that just Abe Kubel has a cup, for goodness sake. Darcy Kemper has a cup, for goodness sake. And you know why? And guess what? And you're going to see them after their career on NHL Network, on every podcast. And it's not going to be Darcy Kemper. It's going to be Darcy Kemper Stanley Cup winner 2022. And you're not going to see these other big name guys without a single cup have anything other than what could have been, and part of segments like this for the rest of their lives. And they're not going to be called for their expertise because it's He
Oh, I don't know
wants
about that. I mean, go ahead. Go ahead.
he wants. Well, if you had all this expertise, what did it lead to?
It's a team sport, though, man. I mean, you can't put it down on one guy. I mean, they have. I mean, if Connor McDavid never wins a Stanley Cup, you're trying to tell me he doesn't have hockey expertise? Like, yeah, he
What do you
does.
play the game for?
I'm not disagreeing with you here. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't say that someone who's just making a lot of money doesn't really have like the hockey knowledge just because they haven't won a cup. It's a team sport.
Oh,
So
no, the good ones play for free just to or take a discount just to win a cup. If you're going out there and
yeah,
saying, "Give me all the money, I don't need a
yeah.
cup," that tells me the state of your team and why you'll never win a cup.
I like for me, like I wouldn't, and I genuinely feel this way. Like I don't need all that money. Like it's nice, sure. Like Connor McDavid money, Nathan McKinnon money, fine. Like, but are you really going to spend all of that money in your lifetime? No, sure. If you have kids and stuff, you can set them up. But I think you make enough money as a depth guy over the course of your career. If you have a 15-year career, I know that fluctuates depending on you'll make more in the middle years of that than you will at the end. You're looking at a guy like Ryan Suter just signed a contract for $775,000. I know he's getting paid on the back end from 2 teams now, but I'm just saying, like, when you're playing, if you're lucky enough to play that long, the money is going to be fine. If you play a 15-year career as a bottom 6 guy, you have to think you're going to make at least $15 million. You're telling me I can't make at least $1 million every single year? Probably a little bit more than that. And I can have my name on the Stanley Cup, the holiest of trophies in all of sports, multiple times. I can be on the same trophy as Wayne Gretzky, as Sidney Crosby, as Alex Ovechkin. I can be on the same cup. I will take that 100 times out of 100. And because I'll have enough money, I'll have more than enough money. I'll be okay financially. And with the added bonus of having my name on that Stanley Cup, yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, give me the Stanley Cup, because guess what? In 2 or 3 years, when everything is said and done, after being a bottom 6 guy and not really finding my place, I will take my ball, go home, and open up Shaggy Von Doom Maserati and sell cars for the rest of my life, and then make my money, and everybody come to my car lot and see my Stanley Cup, and then
see the rings there. Exactly. Yeah, you can promote that.
That's what you do. You play the game to win the cup. And when you win the cup, you're immortalized in history. Even the names that you're like, who's that guy? You go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, you see a bunch of names you've never heard of in your life. You look them up, you're forever remembered. And then that's what you play it for. If you want to make money, be an accountant.
Love. So I gotta believe most of the people are gonna agree with us, but there's some people that are just, hey, like the money doesn't buy happiness thing is kind of true. So, but tell someone that they can make $12.5 million a year. Some people would probably take that over who knows? I'm interested to see where the comments go on this one. Last one I want to bring up right now, sir, has been some talk, I don't want to say some talk like recently, but there are some people who say, like, with the Avalanche logo, they've been around for almost 30 years now. They haven't changed the logo at all. Sure, the jersey changes from time to time. Is it time for a Colorado Avalanche redesign in terms of logo, colors? I don't want to get into the actual like makeup of the jersey, but do you think this has been around, long enough, and the Avs need to go in a different direction, or do you like consistency? And this has been their logo since they got here. And, we talked about original 6 teams earlier, and those guys haven't changed. Like, that's what I like. Like, Rangers have kept it. Blackhawks have kept it. Red Wings have kept it. That doesn't change. I like that. But we live in a day and age where, you come up with a change in design and you can sell the crap out of that. So what do you think?
Shut your Marvel-loving mouth, Chris Maselli. That logo stays. This team was almost, what was it, Denver Cougars, the Colorado Cougars at one point, and they said, no, let's go Rocky Mountain Extreme. And then they said, no. And then Colorado Avalanche, here they are. Leave it alone. We could be Utah. We could be the Colorado Hockey Club and have a maroon. They did change the color. What was it in 04, 05? They changed from that brighter red to
a little bit
the burgundy.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, remember the day. But no, this logo, this is one of the best in hockey. It's memorable. You look at it, this is a hockey team, so it transcends sports. If you change it, I will find you.
No, I don't think they should. I'm with. I think the color combination is just perfect. I love it. I painted it on my walls behind me. And the thing is, like, if you do that, like, there's no point in changing. If you change a logo, like, you really have to change everything, including the colors. And you've seen a lot of like NBA teams do that. And I just don't like that. I don't like
go back a couple years later.
And they do. You're right. Yeah, like look what the Utah Jazz just did. Didn't they just go back to
the Charlotte Bobcats? Are no more because they went back to the Hornets.
Yeah. So I if you want to tinker with things that, like you said, like the shade and stuff like that, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I don't think you touch the logo. It's funny you mention Marvel loving or whatever you said, and you're the DC guy. They change the Batman logo all the time.
Hey, I love them. Okay, I don't have to endorse them all the time.
Okay. Do you not like that? Do you wish
new Batman is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life?
The logo?
No, the new Batman, his new design.
Oh, the design of the actual Batman. Okay, I got it.
It is, and logo included.
Okay,
it's so dumb.
And there you go. I think
I have nothing left to believe in.
I don't know. I'm good with what it is. I'm not tired of it. I'm not, and you say people want to go back when the Broncos were saying like, hey, we have new uniform. Like people were wanting them to go back to the D.
Yeah.
With the horse, and they didn't, but I'm okay with that because I do like the current logo. I've liked it ever since they came out with it. You know how I feel about the jerseys. Terrible. But the Avalanche one, no, man, they really knocked it out of the park when they revealed that. So I'm with you. Why change it?
Especially when the Nuggets have like 45 logos.
Oh my God.
Keep it simple.
They keep changing shades of colors, and it's just you can't. I mean, I have a closet full of jerseys already, and they would get me if they changed it. I'd have to go start buying brand new stuff, and that's why they do it. Because it sells, even if it's ugly as sin, it sells. So don't change it, Avs. And I don't think you are. There's no talk of it, but we're good where we're at. We're good where we're at. Yeah. All right, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. So thank you everybody for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we will see you guys tomorrow.